So, day/episode 3 of the road to spending 25,000 in 7 days. So, quick update on the campaign so far. We spent $2,800 since like Thursday, Friday last week. So, we've still got a lot of a way to go. Right now, we've got 390 leads in the ads manager. I checked the CRM, we actually have 492 obviously, so it's like underreporting by 20%. So obviously there's a bit of a delay with Facebook Ads Manager as well. So it'll probably be more like a 10% reduction when all said and done. But if we calculate the lead cost then, so obviously in the ad account it's $7, but it is cheaper than that. So if we just go to 2,800 and then it was like 492. So 492. Which means our overall lead cost for the campaign is $5.60 or $5.70, which the goal of this is to spend 25,000 and get an overall lead cost for the entire campaign at $5. That's the goal. So we're not far off it. We've obviously still got to spend a lot more money. And with dramatic scale in the short time period, lead cost usually does go up. But we also just have a load of dead campaigns that you can see here that just aren't really performing that well, which over the next 24 hours, we'll be turning off a load of these. I have just gone into the ad account myself and turned off a load of ad sets and ads that were underperforming. So we're kind of like killing the dead wood, like we're cutting the fat right now. And we're kind of focusing on the stuff that is obviously working. So yesterday I talked about basically the second phase of optimization. So the first phase is obviously we launch to interests, lookalikes, some warm audiences, and we basically launch everything we have in terms of ad copy and images and videos and creatives. So that's the first phase, is basically launching all of the different assets that we have. The second phase is about looking at the data of what's working inside of those campaigns and basically duplicating the ad sets that are working into new campaigns with a slight optimization. So a slight optimization is usually placement, gender, country, or age range, right? Some of those type of demographics. And you can see some of the stuff we've done here. So the way we label it, we've done a 65 plus campaign. We've done a 35 to 44 campaign. We've done a Facebook feed campaign. We're doing another Facebook feed. We've done a female. So basically these are campaigns we already had running. We saw that a lot of good traffic was coming from the feed or female, and therefore we duplicated the ad sets that were performing well into a new campaign with that optimization. And you can see this one in particular is pretty much smashing it. So we only launched this recently the other day. You can see they've only spent like $13. They've got a $10 a day budget. So they've been running less than 48 hours and they're already getting like a really good lead cost, which is obviously cool. So typically what I like to do, I like to test all of the ad sets at $5 a day, just because we're way under budget right now and we've only got like 4.5 days to spend all of this money. We've made the decision to launch everything at $10 a day so we can spend more quickly. So right now I'm filming this. It's like Monday morning South Africa time. I'm based in Cape Town, and the challenge goes live at 9 a.m. Friday, but PST. So we've got about 4.5 days to spend the rest of this money. And today is the day that we're moving into phase 3, which is effectively the scale phase. So if I come down here, I've just done this morning. You can see we turned some of the dead campaigns off that weren't working. We've got a lot of campaigns running, but if you see here, these aren't, they're basically in review. But you can see we've launched CBOs and we've set it at $100 a day. I might change this to 200. I'm going to speak to Marcelo when he starts work today and see if we need to put these as 200. Probably do, with the amount of spend we have to get through. But essentially what we do now is we look at everything that's working And similar to phase 2 optimization, we go inside of the ad set, we go inside of the campaign, we pick we pick around 3. 3 is my favorite number, but we can pick 2 or we can pick up to 4. So 2 to 4 ad sets within one campaign that's working well, and we duplicate it into a CBO. So in this campaign, for example, I would go in, you can see I've launched some more tests here, but if we go to if we sort it by cost per lead, and we can see down here that these 3 have got 4 to 5 leads for under $4. So I would say they're working. So what we basically did is highlighted these, we duplicated them into their own campaign, and we put it as a CBO to spend $100. So I put these 3 into their own campaign. Now, if we weren't so rushed to spend so much money in a short period of time, which is obviously the negative of doing a live launch, if this was an evergreen campaign, I would wait for these to at least get 5 to 10 leads at a good lead cost. And let them run for at least 4 to 5 days. You can see here that we've only let these run for a day and a half, just because, again, we've got to spend so much money in a short period of time. And I didn't want to launch these ads 2-3 weeks out from the launch, because you kind of waste money then, because someone who registers for a free challenge isn't going to turn up if they've registered 3 weeks in advance. So it's a very fine balance between launching far away enough that you can test enough and you can scale enough, but then not launching it too far away that people aren't going to show up. So that's why we're spending so much money in a short period of time. So, just because that's the situation, I made the decision to actually start scaling this, because straight out of the gate, they're getting cheap leads. And this is a cold audience as well. I believe this is a lookalike campaign. So yeah, they're pretty much ready. We'll monitor these 3 over today. And by the end of today, I assume they're going to have at least 1 to 2 leads more each. And if that is the case, then I'll probably put those into a scaling CBO campaign as well. And that's basically what I went through throughout the whole of the campaigns, and basically picked 2 to 4. They all come from the same campaign. Pick 2 to 4 of the best ones and put them in a CBO. Now, what you'll also notice is that they've got this CC and then a $, right? So there's CC5, CC4. This is basically cost cap. So it's basically the way we bid is we basically say our cost, which is in this cost per result, which in this case is the email lead. We're bidding basically to say we don't want to pay any more than X amount. So it basically just safeguards the CBO from spending too much. So you can see here, it's at $5, here it's at $4. So we're bidding to say, hey, we want to spend $100 a day, but we want the leads to be at least $4. I don't want to pay more than, that's the cap, is to spend $4. And again, it just safeguards the campaign from spending $100 and getting no leads. So that's the positive, is that it protects you from paying too much for a lead. The negative is that if you set this too low, a $4 cost cap could be too low, the campaign might not spend because the algorithm is struggling to find leads at that such of a low cost. So again, it's a fine balance of putting the cost cap in to safeguard you from spending too much per lead, but again, if you put it too low, the campaign isn't going to spend. And that's risky for us right now, because we need all of these to spend, because again, we've got to spend so much in a short period of time. I can't really afford for these 4 or 5 campaigns to not run today. They need to get approved ASAP and start spending as quickly as possible. So it's a bit of a risk to put a cost cap in there. Generally, what I do with cold lookalike campaigns, cold lookalike campaigns or cold interest campaigns, I usually do start with a cost cap just to get a gauge to see are they going to spend, are they not? If it's a warm retargeting audience, then I don't bother putting a cost cap, because typically they convert really well. All of these CBO campaigns right now are either lookalikes or cold interests. Later on today, we are going to probably launch some CBOs with a bigger budget to the warm audience of the client, because they do have a social media following. So, and I probably won't put a cost cap on those because, again, if we're retargeting the following or the audience, then typically they're going to be a really cheap lead cost. But obviously, our main job is to market to a cold audience, not to retarget people. So basically, the way I decide the cost cap price is, I'm trying to show you an example. So this one, right, I've put it as $4. If we go to cost per lead, so that cost cap I showed you at $4 is a cost cap of these, the campaign I literally just showed you before. So if we go in here and we sort by lead, I put these three into that cost cap campaign and I put it at $4. So typically what I like to do, I look at, like, obviously you want to put free ad sets into a cost cap CBO campaign with a similar lead cost, right? I wouldn't pick something at $2.50 and then put that into a scaling campaign with $6.50. So you want to get them at a similar cost per lead. And then you basically, I mean, obviously we want leads for like $2, right? But you got to be realistic. If I put the cost cap campaign, CBO campaign, at a cost cap of $2, very likely it's not going to spend. So I basically take the average from the ad sets that I'm duplicating, and I basically do one higher than that to the dollar amount. So you can see here that this is $2.55, $3.20, $3.20. So like average is, let's say, $3. So I basically do $4. I basically put it one up just to give the algorithm a bit more room to maneuver. If I was going to do this one, I'm hoping that these get more leads and it goes a bit cheaper than $4. I don't really want to try and scale stuff that's over $4. But if I was to do this one, I would duplicate these three into the same campaign and I'd do a cost cap of 5 probably, maybe even 6, depending. So again, it's a bit intuitive, but like that's basically the strategy for scaling. So yeah, pretty much now we've done most of phase 1 and phase 2. Like I have gone into some of these campaigns that are performing well and launched more like $10 ad sets just because, you know, if they're working, right? So I think in this one, again, if we just show this example, these 4 here, I just thought, well, you know, if these interests are working, then I'm going to try and find some similar interests. You never know. We might find some more out of the box interests that we haven't tried yet. So I'm still like launching testing ad sets, I suppose, like still finishing off phase 1 and phase 2. But for the most part now, again, we're running ads from 2 pages because we've got so many campaigns, so many ad sets, so many ads. The 2 pages are reaching their limit of ads. They've got 250 ads per page. And I think right now they've maybe got like 15 to 20 ads per on each page. So I don't like launching too much too quickly inside of an ad account. So you can see here I've launched all of these cost caps and CBOs. So I'm going to wait now for a few hours until they all get approved. Then in a few hours' time, I'll have a meeting with Marcelo, who's our in-house media buyer, and we'll basically plan the rest of the day in terms of what we're going to look to launch. And hopefully by that time we have that call, you know, more leads will have happened, obviously, inside of the testing ad set, the testing campaigns, and we'll have more CBOs to launch from cold lookalikes and cold interest. And like I said, they do have a warm audience, this client, so we're going to launch some CBOs with higher budgets to that as well. And then depending on how these spend, we'll see. Just a note, and I'll probably mention this in the videos tomorrow and the day after, is when you launch a CBO, the first 24 hours are typically really bad. So like, it wouldn't surprise me if some of these have like a lead cost of like $50 over the first day. I don't know why, but I suppose it's just the algorithm trying to find the cheapest audiences and just giving it time to learn. But yeah, typically when we launch a CBO, for the most part, the first 24 hours kind of sucks. And it makes you want to turn it off. Like if I go into this by the end of today and it's probably got a lead cost of like $40, $50, $60, I'm going to want to turn it off. But I've just learned to not turn it off before 24 hours is up. Like nothing. Even if one of the ad sets inside is spent like, $20 and hasn't even got a click, just the first 24 hours, I try and not touch it whatsoever, and then make a more informed decision after 24 hours. So yeah, that's the plan for today. We've obviously, again, still got a lot more to go, but we're going to start launching these where, by the end of today, we'll probably be spending an extra, 2 to 3K a day already on top of what we're already spending if we launch enough CBO campaigns. So that's going to add an extra, if they all run for the next 4 to 5 days, that's going to add an extra like 12 to 15K already. And that's just without launching any more campaigns from Tuesday to Friday. So again, if we add an extra 3K a day with CBO campaigns, if by the end of the day, the daily budget overall for the campaigns running is 3K, that means we're going to spend another 12K for Friday, plus what we've already spent 3K. So that means we're on 15K. And then we've got another 10K to add to the daily spend from Tuesday to Friday, which is a kind of a good place to be. Again, I'd like it to be a bit longer, but we want to try and spend the majority of the budget from Tuesday to Friday. That's like ideally, 48 to 72 hours before a live launch. That's when you really want to spend most of the budget, because that is when most of the people are going to attend. Again, if I register for a free challenge 2 weeks away, I'm probably not going to show up. But if I register for a free challenge 24 hours before it starts, I'm very more likely to show up. So that's the strategy with the account for today.